Erin Connor from the movie Rise. How are you, Erin?
I'm really well, thank you, Stephen. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, Erin. I thought the movie Rise was actually very fantastic. I saw it on Amazon Prime, and I thought it had a very good story in it, and the film scoring was just absolutely fantastic. How did you get involved in the movie Rise?
Well, thank you for the that critique on it. It was a very special movie. I knew the writer and director Mac Linden, who the story is based on, his real life experiences. I knew him many years before this movie. We were on a Spielberg production called Terra Nova out in the hinterland on the Gold Coast, and we'd been working on various things together over the years, and we were on a TV commercial, as we do as actors. We were out in the middle of Toowoomba with some farm machinery / something, I don't know. And we had a bit of a drive back from Toowoomba, and we were chatting about what his plans were. So it kind of started from there.
Yeah, no, I thought all the acting was absolutely was amazing talent, to be honest with you. It was just original, and that's what I liked about the film. What was the hardest part about playing in that movie?
Wow. Knowing that Mac was there and directing it, it was his story, and so you're sort of dealing with someone's real life there, and then you feel extra pressure to do it justice. Excuse the justice word, because I played a QC, funnily enough. And also that my character wasn't necessarily a warm person to start with, and that's very unlike me. So I found that difficult. But I really enjoyed reading the script to know that she had this beautiful arc where she came around, in a sense, because this man affected her so much, and she, her heart wanted to help him, not just what, someone in her position would charge for her, fees for her job. And also that she then, as a result, there was just a tiny little touch in there in the movie that she reconnected with her father. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, because did you play the solicitor, did you?
Yeah, see Julie Nile. So he had a legal aid kind of representative to start with, who his character happened to know me. That was played by David Cuthbertson. And from there, because David Cuthbertson's character, at legal aid, worked out that it was bigger than Ben-Hur what he had to deal with to try and free Mac. He went to college with me, his character, so he came and approached me. And I was like, come back when you've got, how much money, $40,000 up front, and then I might take a look at it. So, yeah, the QC, Julie Nile, a young QC, but I let my wrinkles work for me, because I think, in reality, a QC is generally sort of not below 35.
Because you had in one of the scenes where I think you were going to court, you had was another barrister or something competing with you in it, and then you had to get something for DNA to prove the character's innocence, which was quite interesting.
Yeah,
that's really clever script writing, I think, in my opinion, to do that as well.
Yeah, it's I completely agree. And me not being, a script writer, all I can go on when I read a screenplay is to see if I'm really drawn in by it, and to the point where it's affecting me. And then to me, that's basically my gauge, as to whether or not, because there's all these different components. Like you're enjoying the score of the movie and the script. So that's coming from, the lens that you look through. I'm taking it. And for me, it's about how things affect me emotionally. And, and that I want to follow each of these characters. So that's all I can sort of say
Mm. Yeah, because I'm a film composer, so I like film music, and I thought it was, it's original, and that's what I like. It really suits the whole film. I like Australian films a lot,
Yeah, we
much
don't make,
better.
and I think.
Mm.
Sorry, you were saying, Steve?
It's just better, and I feel it's more original than Hollywood all the time. I just feel that because the Australian landscapes where you were, was this shot in Toowoomba by any chance?
Uh, yeah, a little bit of Gold Coast, Coolangatta. Yes, out towards Toowoomba at one of the recently closed down prisons, and then some courthouses and some offices around the Gold Coast and Robina, and yeah, we utilised, the amazing people in Queensland and just basically pure passion behind it, and a little bit of that Aussie mateship bravado, the tone that we have that's simply Australian. And I think Mac really, you can't not get behind a film like that. That's why Martin Sachs did too. Martin Sachs in Byron Bay, I believe, and said, mate, I've got this story. And those two sat down for a cup of coffee, I believe, and Martin Sachs is like, I'm in. I want to help. And I think, like you were saying, Australian films, I think we've really got to start to do our culture and what we've got to offer. We've really got to do it, do more. And I think perhaps COVID might be giving us an opportunity now that the rest of the world is really difficult to film in COVID conditions. And while we do have that draw card of blockbusters here, there is a really special time right now that I think we could get in those, $800,000 to $2-3 million budgets, because we can do it with COVID restrictions. We can do it with, you don't need these big, massive blockbuster sci-fi things. You can do it with a pure passion and the atmosphere and the Australian culture and the way we all jump in and tell our stories. I think it's a real time, an opportunity to get these movies out there and get some of the ideas and screenplays to life and get them on the streaming platforms.
Yeah, because Rise is on Amazon Prime as well, that's how I came across it too. Yep. I don't know what other streaming platforms it's on, but it definitely is one of my movies I recommend to watch.
Thank you.
But with acting wise, what have you been doing since then?
Wow. Well, I actually just popped to the cinemas last night because I hadn't had a chance to watch the sequel to another Queensland film called Occupation. And that's, again, I really enjoyed the first film where we drew upon the connections between characters and the fact that we're out in the hinterland, again, in the Gold Coast, and everyone just chipping together and trying to make, a film with Aaron Jeffries and Temuera Morrison and Dan Ewing, who I've done now about 4 projects with after he left home and away. We did also Beast No More. That's a thriller out where I'm scary. I took my dad to see it and I'm a really horrible character. But it's a lot of fun. So yeah, there's been Beast No More and Occupation, and then last night I went and watched Occupation Rainfall. I played Temuera Morrison's wife, and that was something to behold. I've got a little bit of New Zealand heritage there, and it was really lovely to meet him and someone who can be a completely different character on screen. It's a real credit to his craft that he's just a beautiful man, in real life. I'm working on a couple of indies at the moment, particularly about working in that $1 to $2 million budget in Queensland. And one is with John Jarrett and myself, and it's a Tarantino style middle kind of suburbia style gangsters and silly robbers and a whole bunch of fun, but Tarantino style in that it's not this glitzy movie world, American style blockbuster thing. It's really raw and it's just shocking but funny, but raw and a lot of comedy in it as well. And we're just utilizing what we've got here. So,
yeah, Quentin Tarantino's done some amazing films over the years, and there is some fantastic film scoring as well. I think did he do that Inglourious Bastards one, or is that'd be another director?
I think he did.
Mm-hmm.
For an actress, I'm not a studied. I'm not like, oh, I know this director, I know that. I just see a movie, see a script, and I actually don't think, it's stamped with him or it's stamped with this person. I say Tarantino in that because we were trying to give it a bit of a reference point the other day for an interview for this film I'm doing with John Jarrett called Double or Nothing, and it just I think that the tone is that it flips it on its head. Within the first 20 minutes you think you've got it sorted out, and it's not. And apparently, that's very Tarantino style. But to be honest, I watch a film or I watch a TV series, and I think about the entire cast, crew, score, script, director, editing, all the actors together to bring out what you see on the screen. Because without the entity there, it's not. Yeah.
What's the most challenging thing when working on a movie set in your experience?
Keeping your focus and energy. They're really, really long days most of the time, and sometimes the chopping and changing. Sometimes you could be filming the end of the film and then going back to the beginning and then a bit of the middle, and then because you know it's about the locations. We can only use this for this day, so we're filming scene 2 this page, and then scene 17, and then so it's you really got to concentrate, and then try and just concentrate also on your job, and so that you can then fit the pieces of the puzzle. That thing stands out.
Because I know, and then you got all the makeup, and then you always changing, clothes all the time. So you're doing that all in one day. It's not like, okay, we're going to film this this morning.
Look,
Wow.
sometimes it is. Sometimes it's just that one thing and you're in the one costume for the whole day. But then within that, they've got to make sure that continuity, that wasn't down there and that shot there and this wasn't over there. Look, every day is something different. And I think that's part of the reason why I really love it, because it's such a different atmosphere, a different type of vocation, and I wouldn't swap it for the world.
What's one thing that you wish you'd known when you started your career, Erin?
Wow. That's hard to learn lines. No. That's my easy answer. Oh, wow. That you've got to give it 150% physically, mentally, emotionally. You've got to make a lot of sacrifices. I'm an ex-elite sports woman, and I sort of knew about giving 150%, but this takes on a whole other level because it's within your bones and within your blood and everything. It actually affects the people around you when you're preparing for a character. So I didn't realise how much of a commitment it was, but I still love it. Yeah,
I suppose when you have a passion, that's what gets you up every day, even when it's not so much of a great day.
Yeah.
Whatever industry it is. Failures. Have you had failure?
Yeah, you fail all the time. But, and then in saying that, it's not really a failure because it's I think they end up being wins. If you don't fail, I don't think you have any career trajectory or learning, and you don't become better.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps failure is not really in my vocabulary. It's not to be cliche or anything, but it really is it's all part of it. It's if you can change that, the way that you feel about after an audition, or if you've hurt yourself on set, or you found something really, really challenging, you're in there amongst a team, and you will find a way through, because everyone's on that journey together. And with auditioning, you've got to not take it personally, because it's all different pieces to a puzzle. Sometimes I won't get a job because maybe the children that they're looking at, I don't look like mum, or I might be too tall for the leading male. It was funny with Temuera Morrison. I'm taller than him. He had Nicole Kidman as his wife. I think they were playing Aquaman's parents on the Gold Coast when he was filming The First Occupation. And I was playing his wife on Occupation. So when I met Nicole Kidman at the Actor Awards, we're both looking at each other and said, we share the same husband. And we're like, we're both taller than him. But look, those things, you just can't take it. You don't know, so you've got to just cast aside all concerns and worries, and try not to take it personally. Otherwise, you will just tumble down.
Yeah, it's like that with music as well, because it can get very opinionated as a film composer. When I was studying my bachelor's, we found out, well, if the director can make you write all that work, but then no, they just want to replace it with temp music as well. Yeah, that does happen.
Wow.
I think it was Stanley Kubrick's 2001 Space Odyssey. Showed up to the premiere. He thought, oh yeah, all his work was going to be played, and then it was all replaced with temp music.
That would make all of you true artists go, what's going on? Yeah. And again, you can only just do what you can do. Put it out there. But as an artist, if you're a painter, a musician, actor, singer, you're straight away going to be critiqued.
All the time.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. I suppose it's something you're always improving. You never stop learning your craft as well. You always think, how can I do better than the last?
Yeah.
I'm sure in your circumstances, the last movie, how can I audition better? Mine would be, how can I write something better?
That's the better thinking. Some people sort of crash and burn from that and think, I'm never going to be able to make this. I'm never going to be, get a published book or get my music out there, on iTunes. I'm never going to get cast in a speaking role. But if you don't go, oh, okay, well, what can I learn from that? So it's all in that thinking. It's about saying, no, well, it's not a failure. This is something I just learned something key from that, or that wasn't meant to be mine. But you never know what those casting directors or what anyone else was around thinking, oh, she might be right for something else. There's a myriad of different projects going on. There's so many different music styles. There's, so much different art out there. I think there's room for everyone. And if you think there is lack, then you're cutting yourself off. I think there's room for everyone and every artist.
Did you go to acting school or university to be an actor?
No. I thought I may have problems when I wanted to be an actor. I was scouted for NIDA finishing high school, and I didn't want to go because I loved my sports and being out and about, and I thought, oh, I can't. I heard NIDA, like your life is committed for that many, and I like doing a balance of things. I don't think I'm an academic. So I think life experiences and doing a broad spectrum of things is made. I followed my gut. So all I did was lots of year-long courses, perhaps 6-week courses, different classes from years ago, from Tom McSweeney to Judy Hamilton. So many different acting teachers over the years. Anthony Brandon Wong. Just different workshops, and then you just get your little bits and pieces from there. I think it's an old school thing that people say, oh, you've had to studied at NIDA or Whopper, or you're somewhere in London or in LA. But I think it's like university. You don't necessarily have to be university studied to have some sort of success in life.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with any creative arts. I've got a bachelor's in classical performance, but there's so many different answers to the one question. It's not like a business course where, no, this is what it's got to be.
Yeah, well, I guess it's a little bit more black and white, because sometimes you really need to be ticketed and credited in those particular areas. But the arts, I think it's,
And if you had a dream actor, Erin, that you could work with, who would it be?
If it was many, 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 many moons ago, I would have loved to be in a movie with Paul Newman. Gosh. It's such a hard question. I've been asked that a lot, but again, it's particular movies and the particular ensemble and the particular writing that I think, I would love to be with Meryl Streep in that. I would love to be with Frances McDormand in that. I'd love to be with Jamie Foxx doing something cool there, or Will Smith or Robert Downey Jr. They're all, I think it's applicable to each, movie. So that's a hard question, but I'm a big old school Paul Newman fan, so I think I would have done any movie with him. He's the one person, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, no, it's always good if you ever have that opportunity to work with someone you dream to do it. It's like, wow. Even if you were just an extra, that'd be like so cool.
Oh, completely. Yeah. I find myself buzzing when I'm on set, and that I don't think I'm like a big kid. I think a lot of us actors have that, where that's what invigorates us, and that's what makes us, we'll do anything, to be around that atmosphere. And I think that's indicative of independent film, where there's not a lot of money, but you've got to be there for that reason. Otherwise, you're not going to last the days and weeks that people put into those things. So, to be around any of these amazing actors of our time and of years gone by, and the amazing scripts that are coming out, and the it's a kid in a candy store, Steve. It's hard. Yeah.
Now, it's always good if you have a dream. You never know. Things do happen as well. I've got my composers I'd like to work with. Hans Zimmer is one. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, John Cena, because I like wrestling. Dwayne Johnson.
It must be a wrestling side and a real underdog to training up. Yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah. Well, they started wrestling, but then they went into Hollywood like so easy.
I think it's the type of personality type. When you're an elite sports person, you've come from, say, like Mark Wahlberg, coming from doing it really tough in life, and then having that drive and a sense and an ability to really achieve when you're the underdog. That can take you in any direction you want to point that little arrow. So, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, for a perfect example, built himself to be, the strongest man or bodybuilding champion in the world. And then he goes, well, I want to be an actor. I want to go to Hollywood. And next, I want to be, in politics. And he just does it. I think it's that mindset that if you know you're capable of achieving, it's something within you, point that arrow in any direction. So you yourself think you can, think you can't. Either way, you're right. Stephen worked with Hans. There you go.
No, because I like Arnold Schwarzenegger as well. even though I'm a musician. He did a movie, Pumping Iron, years and years ago. So that's what I think got him into the whole acting scene after bodybuilding. Yeah, you
Right.
can't be a bodybuilder forever. So
No, this is true. Everything starts to fall apart. You can't. Yeah.
And I think he made it was Santa Monica very popular, and Muscle Beach as well.
Now I know what it is. I think I've seen a couple of clips on that
Mm.
on YouTube. Yeah, now you can't get onto Santa Monica Pier in good weather.
Mm.
It's too busy.
It is a busy place. Have you ever come close to getting into Hollywood yourself?
Well, yes, but I'd left it for many years because I'm a bit of a homebody and I love it around where I grew up near Byron Bay. And but I went for a couple of trips over just to see friends, and there's something wonderful about Americans that reminds me of like the independent films that you do. There's just this exuberance and passion. It's palpable. It's a little bit different to here. I find that there's been it's a bit harder seemingly to make it through. And there they are saying, well, anything's possible. And that kind of energy I relate to. And I have found a few doors have opened up for me, but I wasn't quite ready. I went, what, me, who, what? So I came back, and now I had been working on a couple of things to produce and act in. And we were about to film just before COVID in America. And so that's now been on the back burner. So I'm sitting here waiting and creating and working on a couple of independent features, and waiting for that to then circle back around, because I have my work visa for there, and I we'll see what happens. Stay tuned, I guess.
How did you keep busy during the 2020 coronavirus pandemic?
Oi. Did a lot of yoga and voiceovers. I'm a voiceover, so luckily, I guess like yourself, you've got your computer and you can create. So I have a lot of, I have a home studio, so I voice animation and radio and corporate ads and things. So, and a lot of people were having to turn in towards their computers to work on their websites, promote their work, promote their businesses. And so I did a lot of voiceovers. And then I was also working on this film that we had to then rejuggle, and then perhaps then look at filming it in Australia. But then, yeah, I guess just keeping busy. We're always networking, and that's a beautiful thing about artists. We all keep connecting, and then ideas rolling and writing scripts. And I came up to Queensland. That was in June last year. I was asked to come up from Sydney to work on something, and I haven't gone back. So we were able to film out in the bush. It's going to be a comedy. And again, we're utilising the Australian bush, old Terra Nova territory out there. And it's going to bring in the Australian landscape, the Australian humour, and a lot of the stunt actors that are actually very clever and creative, which we're known for in America. And a lot of them are my friends from years ago, and they said we need a woman who can play a warm character but also be very physical and handle a shotgun and do some other cool things. So that one I can't wait to tell the world more about soon, coming up.
No, that sounds very exciting, that having these opportunities. I started my company in 2020, Shields Productions, right at the start of the pandemic. And it's been an interesting experience as an entrepreneur as well.
And you did it was just before the pandemic, so that you thought it was going to sort of, or you started it because the pandemic had started and you thought, I'm going to sit here and create something?
Yeah, it was when the pandemic started. I published the first album on Spotify. So that's, I kind of had no choice to be an entrepreneur, given the situations out there as well. And I thought, look, I'll I'll just go and do it.
You're either going to sink or swim. So congratulations.
No, thank you. No, look, as I said, like when I see films that to me that feel real to watch and there's a meaning to it, that's what I like to see. Not something that's too overdone. Like I think the Fast and the Furious, it's getting overdone. I think it's the same thing.
They're not my cup of tea, as I call it. So yeah, it's something that needs to hit in there. That's a real bit of truth in it. Otherwise, I'm lost.
Mm. And as an actor, it's a silly question. Do you watch films?
See, well, as I touched on before, I'm not the biggest film buff.
Mm.
I live a lot of life, I think, and that's what I draw upon to create characters. But when I do watch something, I'll often now we've all got the luxury of binge watching things. When I find a really good series, yeah, you'll find me curled up watching them. So,
how do you feel about the whole binge watching now?
I think it's possibly unhealthy, but look, it's now getting catered. The whole streaming platforms, they're very aware that that's how a lot of the viewing is happening. So, they're just working with it, and they, I think those platforms are there now. They don't have ads. They're completely, funded by, within themselves, so they don't need to have free to air TV, which is keeping people just watching, the news this night or Neighbours one night, and then, having to. There's, different horses for different courses. That the world is changing, and I never really liked it to start with because I thought, oh, that's going to take away from Australian television and what we're trying to create, and then there'll be perhaps too much reality television because there's not enough money now in Australian television to write good scripts and things. But I can't change it, so I think it's about doing what you think is right, and what makes you smile, what makes your soul and spirit smile.
There was a couple of shows I did sort of binge watch. It was, you've heard of the Sons of Anarchy?
A friend of mine.
There was El Chapo.
Yeah.
Well, saw that. No, because El Chapo was it's based on a real thing that happened in Mexico.
Narcos. I watched that as well, based on real. Yeah, right.
And then, but Sons of Anarchy was one of those things like the Game of Thrones, where at the end of a season you're like, what's going to happen?
That's a good feeling. Yeah, it's not stereotypical.
Mm.
Is that perhaps what you're thinking is something? It's a bit different, it's a bit edgy, a bit raw and real to life. I think Game of Thrones paved the way with the massive blockbusters of series that were actually really good because they killed off a main character very quickly, and you go, well, how am I supposed to continue watching now that so-and-so's died? That was brave writing. But I didn't watch El Chapo, but I have watched Narcos, and even Ozark. I think that's a similar sort of thread where something you wouldn't expect happens, and you think, well, that's what? And then you just, you'll end up just keep watching it because it's clever and brave. I like that. I like actors like that. I like, scripts and things that's probably why I'm enjoying this Double or Nothing that I'm doing with John Jarrett, because it's not what you think. And, I like that kind of writing. It's written by the director of The Suicide Theory, which is a cult classic in America, and again, not what you think. And I really enjoyed working on that. And when I was called up to do this one with Drew Brown, the writer director for this, it's going to be a lot of fun and filmed here. So there's no point leaving right now. Although I am looking forward to going back to the States.
Mm-hmm.
There's some great things, in the pipeline then. But again, we're all sitting here waiting for this terrible situation in the world to ease.
Mm-hmm. That's what it is. Whenever a series finishes, but then because Sons of Anarchy, they stopped filming in 2014. Because by then you kind of knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
You
Everything's got its, end date. It's it runs its course, and I think that's how life is. Some things, you think, oh, and you miss it for a bit. You think, no, that's okay, and then you you find something else equally as that you're gravitating towards and really enjoy. I think, as I said, it's not. I think if we just opened our mind and think there are so many different styles and scripts and things that can be made in every area of the arts, and that's why I think there's plenty. There's no lack.
Yeah, look, Hollywood, they've got all this money to throw into a movie, and they can do all these special effects, and every actor's got their stuntman as well. Is it as luxury like that here in Australia?
Only if you're doing Thor or Elvis or Spiderhead or any of these right now, the big ones, whether you're getting the big leading names in and the big budgets. No, there's a whole echelon of film that I'm referring to a lot, these independent films that a lot of us actors do. No. I actually, though, as I was saying, there's a certain attraction to doing them because where you just seem to you're there, holding every part of you is there, and we're all doing extra hours and, perhaps your own stunts. And me being an ex-sports person, I would rather that, like Tom Cruise. Oh my God, I completely, I relate to him in that he wanted to do, I believe, all in Top Gun, get in that jet, be there around other actual, pilots who fly those planes, and do as many stunts as he can. I'd love to do that. So, yeah. Or even, I think, I would want the opportunity too, I think. Sorry, Stephen.
No, that's amazing that you express your opinion on that too, because I think Wolverine, that was filmed in Australia with Hugh Jackman as well. He's very well known overseas.
Yes.
With Marvel and basing it off the comic Wolverine.
See, I'm not the biggest fan of those movies. But I am a huge fan of what the actors do to put into those roles, like Hugh Jackman did. The work and the preparation behind those, and then the truth in that's. I watch those things for the journey that they go on, but I really enjoy character films and clever, storylines, and even though I wouldn't say no to being Wonder Woman, or the Wonder Women on that island, Robin Wright Penn and the rest of them. But I really gravitate towards movies with them. With these incredible characters and they really are able to express why they do what they do, even if they're a horrible character. Like Charlize Theron in Monster, you really can empathise. I think that's excellent acting. If you're a bad person, there's still a reason why they do what they do, and I think that's absolutely fascinating. If you can bring that to life, rather than something that's a little bit two-dimensional. What better viewing than there is that you can follow and watch these kinds of stories come to life.
No, it's amazing, and special effects as well is what helps it.
Oh, it's incredible what they can do. But then as I was saying, I'll watch that, but I'll tend to binge watch something that is more about them characters and just that ensemble of the directing and the editing and music and sets and the styling of all of that, rather than something that's, you know, really like on another planet and on another planet in both ways. I think I'm more attracted to something that's really human-like.
Yeah, no, that's so cool what you're doing and what you're working on, especially Rise. That was amazing.
Thank you. Very special, you know. A few years back now, and I was really proud to help do that story justice again, to use that that word for thank you.
But what gets you through? Like, how do you prepare for an audition yourself, Erin?
Well, first of all, you work out what kind of perhaps vocation and character that they are, and like for Rise, I actually went to the court rooms a lot and talked to lawyers, and you sort of work out that way of that those people operate in their day, and the way that they approach things and look at things, the way that they assess something is different to, say, how a person in a different vocation would. It's the lens that you put on. So it's sort of coming through that way of how that they would look at the world, but you first piece together perhaps all areas of their background and all areas of their upbringing would have shaped the way that they go about their lives. And then if you can find something there that you relate to, or something that intrigues you that you could possibly flesh out, then that becomes Erin coming in through those doors. Then look at that person's world, because you have to find something really innate and connected within you that you can empathize with a really bad, horrible character, or you can connect to something that's some sort of queen in some, something that's not even realistic. There's something human about every type of character, every type of personality type, in the world. And if you can come in there and have some sort of a little open up the door and go in, it's quite fascinating. But yeah, a lot of preparation, so you can find different levels of each within each role. Otherwise, I feel like it potentially can look fake, and you don't want to do that. Yeah.
Well, no, that's it. You want to make it as real as possible too. But you got directors that all have their own interpretation of how they want. I'm not an actor, I don't know, but how they want you to play the character. We need to do another. Do you get frustrated if you have to do more than one take, or do you just want to do it straight away?
As actors, we tend to like a lot of takes because I want to try it that way. But sometimes you're getting tired, and sometimes you think, that just gave me goosebumps. I was really happy with that. And then the director go, no, I really want to go for another one. And you go, okay, let's try, and we'll try again. It's all part of it, because it's not like theatre where that is it, what you've just delivered live then. But with acting, it's also a challenge. We really want to make this story come to life. So that's all part and parcel. You think, okay, well, I've got to do it again. And this time the camera's not on me, it's on the person that I'm talking to. And you want to make them shine as well. So you then got to elevate yourself. And it's quite an adrenaline rush. And if you look, it can be frustrating when you're tired, but I think it's fun. We're just all kids. I really think you've got to have a dash of, play within you to really have some longevity in making films.
Yeah, look, Erin, it was fantastic having you on the show today.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed this. I hope we haven't gone over time. I don't know what your time limit was.
Where can people find you on your social media?
Okay. My Instagram is at Erin Connor.
Mm-hmm.
I have kept my Facebook page years ago when they said, what's your full name? And I put all my middle names.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of dorky, but I've left it as that, as Erin Susan Christina Connor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's an Erin Connor official, but I don't really use that. But yeah, at Erin Connor at Instagram, send me a DM or a like or
Mm-hmm.
or whatever you do, and then at Erin Susan Christina Connor. Or I've made a little porthole of some of my work on erinconnor.com.au for my website. Thank you, Stephen.
Awesome, Erin. I think you're very talented for what you're doing. I'm always looking for talented people.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate what you're doing. These young people have an appreciation for, for people creating. So we must keep in touch, and thank you so much.
You're welcome.